We are live. Okay,
Yeah.
but hang on a second. We need to arrange some stuff before we start. So I'm just gonna make sure we go live also on Instagram. Okay. So Shivani from my team, can you let us know that we're good to go and we're live on all platforms? And this might take a moment, but as we're getting settled, just a warm welcome to everyone that's tuning in for today. This is a conversation I've been very much waiting to have with Yorrith. And some of you might have known him and heard about him, and some maybe not. And we're going to fix that if you haven't heard about Yorrith just yet in a moment. So, Yorrith, a warm welcome. Thank you so much for joining today.
Thank you for having me.
Yes.
I'm a bit nervous suddenly. I don't know.
Yeah, me too. Lives are not they're not a comfort zone.
No, they're not.
Yes. No.
But
But
we'll ride
but
it.
usually throughout the week, if you attended the other lives, you might have noticed that in all the previous lives, we were a little bit nervous. Well, both me and the guests actually have been nervous at first, and then after 15-20 minutes, it usually passes. So I think once the conversation catches, it's okay. But maybe before we start, just a few short things as we are now in the last final hours of this whole experience of the physical mastermind as we finish the training. And now the doors of the Fathom High Tribe, my signature program, is open and they are closing in how many hours? At midnight Central European time. So, like in 6 hours. This is now, and I know that some people we've received, like some people are questioning and wondering if yes or not. And if you have a question, we are here for you. And you can also write to us in the chat. I think that my main intention is to just offer more clarity so you can find the right choice for you. Now, for those of you that will be joining today, you're going to get also something special that we prepared for you, which is called Meditations in Movement. That is like this series of lessons that are, yeah, meditations in, in movement. It's very self-explanatory. And what they're going to do, because a lot of people have reported feeling a lot of stress and anxiety, and this is something that we wanted to offer a profound response to. So we created a resource for you that comes with the tribe. The tribe is all about dissolving tension and pain and learning to move with that deep sense of freedom. Like if you feel a fear in movement, if you feel blocked, if you feel like you're recovering from a big journey with your body, if you feel disconnected from your body, if you're suffering from stiffness, from pain, yeah, this is the kind of journey that we go through with people, helping them to come back home to the body and to find again that freedom in movement. And inside that, we created this resource that together with everything that's in the tribe really creates this possibility to really bring this deep sense of relaxation and the ability to really step beyond beyond that feeling of life as a race that never ends and closes in on you. So this is something that I wanted to mention. And aside from that, if you, for those of you that have already joined, we will be joining you shortly. Once the doors close, we're gonna be with you to help you really get settled and to start this beautiful journey together. So just like hang in for us, like a couple of hours longer as we're waiting to start this journey with you. Now, Yorit, would you mind introducing yourself a little bit as we start, so the people that don't know you yet, can get to know you?
Yes. I'm Yorrith. I'm a choreographer and a dancer. I've been dancing all of my life, basically. And I've met Meytal before. I don't know. It's a long time ago that I met you at this point.
In really interesting situations, also. Like
Yeah.
Yorit literally like ran into the stage when I was performing to catch me as I was intentionally falling backwards. Uh,
It's true. I
hoping that
was like
someone would catch
holding
me.
you. I was like, "You okay?"
Yeah.
uh, um, but I didn't know I was being punned. But uh, basically, why Metal and I got close is because I got a stroke, I think almost 4 years ago. A stroke is when blood clots enters your brain and obstructs the arteries, constricting oxygen to certain levels or certain areas of your brain. And mine happened in the limbic system, and which is right underneath the limbic system, and it was all of my motor functions and muscle memory. So half of my body was paralyzed, and I had to recover from this. As a dancer, it's kind of scary to lose half of your physical memory. And then Metal, actually, as a gift from heaven, it was also during COVID, so you weren't even allowed to visit me in the hospital. I recorded, I think, the first library sessions. You
The
did,
first
no?
version of the tribe. It
First
was
version of the
first.
library, which was basically just like small wave files sent to
Yeah.
me that I could listen to in noise canceling earphones. So after recovery, I would be listening to her guided class. So I think I was there at the birth of your library, I guess.
Oh,
And from that moment on, we were kind of close. It's an intimate thing to share, of course. Uh,
yeah.
I don't know what else to say. Yeah, help.
That is lovely. But it's yeah, that's kind of it. And would you share with us a little bit in which way the Feldenkrais method and this work has helped you in your process after the stroke?
Well, I think for most people who go through or suffer through trauma, physical or psychological, I think the first thing that has to happen is repair, which is building trust again towards a body that has betrayed you or that feels unsafe. And I think what a psychologist cannot do at the same profound way as a method like Metal did was installing kindness and a way of being patient towards the body and listening towards it in a kind way. And so this path of least resistance, which is the basic core of Fathom High or also Feldenkrais therapy is, or method, I don't know if I'm saying it right, is the path of least resistance. And I think when you're tuning into a body that only is half responsive, the first response is fear because you don't recognize the same thing. And so I was always in this fight or flight, which is a very difficult position to start learning things in. So I had to break out of that cycle of tuning into the body and instantly wanting to escape it. You know, like you had to be tolerant towards this type of uncomfortable feeling. And I think by listening to your very kind and soft voice saying everything is okay, and you know, like it really helped me to become more like more soft towards things that felt uncomfortable. And the nervous system really responds to this like path of least resistance. Like I immediately understood like, well, so here I can't move it, but I will just be curious and investigate where else I can enter, you know, like, and I remember after like 4 days of listening to you that I realized like, wow, I can go into my hip. And the moment you can go into your
On
hip,
on which side? On the side that was
on the side
unable
that
to
was
move?
paralyzed, you know, like that it took a while
What
for
do you
me.
mean you could go into it? You could
Well,
feel it?
you had this like
But
exercise, I think it's not whale's mouth, but it's the other one, like the
pendulum
heel.
walking.
The
Yeah.
pendulum walking, that was it. But I couldn't even like I was doing it half sitting into the hospital bed, so I was not really
Yeah.
sitting on my sitting bones and all of these things. So basically, more than half of the things that you were describing, I wasn't able to do. But you already told me in advance, like it doesn't matter as long as you just do, like actively be there and listen. It's already something. Visualizing movement is more than enough. But I was like course, I'm a dancer, so I'm perfectionist, so I didn't want to just visualize things. So during all of those classes, I felt like constantly looking for like ways in, like how can I enter stuff that is unresponsive? You need to make new neural connections. So like, but the moment that I realized, I think it's the inquisitive nature also of you, like kindly, like gently nudging towards different directions, installs a certain type of autonomy that is different than recovery. Like
Mhm.
it's not like you have to like work and do stuff. Like in my recovery, in my therapy, it was like anchor and grasp, and they're not really busy into your path of how you authentically move. Like, and this is something that I realized, like, okay, I'm going to sense where my body takes me, like where are the points that are going to be aware, and where are the points that for now are still scary and are like unresponsive. I don't know, like I'm getting nerdy, I'm getting really inside. But this is where I think I fell in love with the technique a little. It just, and not only the technique, but I guess also we call ourselves body nerds. I think we've been doing this for a while now. Shouldn't I say this? Is this something? I don't know. We are body nerds.
Yeah,
And
totally. Proud
okay,
ones also.
okay, so I was also proud about it because I didn't, I didn't know if you were.
Okay.
Um, so we are, I think like from that moment on, I've been like researching like crazy about like embodied cognition, and like I've been going deep and deep and deep inside all of this material, because I think the body is one of the last vestiges that we really haven't fully discovered. Like we're discovering space, but basically, man, like the body is such a mystery. um
Yeah.
so I think this one of these beautiful things is that it actually really gives you a way of becoming friends with your body again. And then from that point on, like when you're friends with your body again, the body is way more responsive. It's way more generous towards you. So you learn new things. You learn to listen to new things.
Yeah.
Um, I think it's the same way also with, which if you turn it into a social relationship, it would be the same way. It's like if we would have a fight, I would never get to know all of your subtle quirks and your humor and all
Mm.
of the definition of what you are as metal. So like this is a conflict, and out of conflict doesn't ever becomes a nuance,
Yeah,
and this
that is so
nuance
true.
is something that you need to have with your own body and your relationship with the body. And I think any step towards it is a good one. Yay for all of the people who are here and are willing to become friends with their own bodies. And you wanted to say something?
I did. There's something that's kind of sitting on my tongue. That I think that one of the things that came up for people like now, for example, in the training that we finished recently of the physical mastermind is like, what if I'm scared to listen in? What if I don't like what I hear? What if there's some, because I think that there's, once we get oftentimes I think we feel abandoned by our body for one reason or another, and it could be
Mhm,
a trauma, it could be an operation, it could be a big wave of a certain experience that we went through. And in return, oftentimes there is this almost inevitable step of kind of abandoning the body back, and there's only that perpetuating of that disconnect, of that cycle, that
mhm,
feeling of disconnection. And when we do feel disconnected from the body, it's scary to come back. It's like to go back to your house when you left to Australia, and
mhm,
you come back after 1 month. You're like, oh my god, what if I left the tap open? Now I'm gonna
mhm.
come back and find out that the whole house is like a river. It can be really, really, really scary. So I think that it would be really fascinating to hear how you met your body in those moments, because it takes a lot, I think.
I think I'm not sure, but there are many, because like cognitively, you go through, like I'm spacing out at that point in the first 2 months. Like it's like being on acid. Like all of your brain functions are rewiring themselves, time and
Mm,
space. no relationship towards it. Like I'm zooming in and out of consciousness all of the time, so it's really difficult to get a grasp on how I would have done this. But I think one of the biggest things that helped me, and that was, I think, that something that I discovered, this is a nuance of after I made friendship with my own body, is that I discovered that touch and sound is the same for me, so that they are connected. They call it synesthesia. Some people have it
Yeah.
with color, some people have, so like sensation, like touch, and so everything that I touch has a sound. So this has a frequency. Like,
Wow. That's so
so
cool.
so all of this has an internal, it resonates. So I know, like, this is tonal. So what I discovered, like, what listening to music opened up also my physical realm, so I could feel or sense stuff in my body by listening to things. So I had like sets of beautiful music that really touched me, like deeply, that I would open up, that I feel the body would resonate to, and I would listen to them in loops. So that
Mm,
would always have a place where I'm comfortable. And so, why am I saying this? I think one of the most beautiful things, if you ever left the body and you rejected it, come back to sensation, come back to enjoying your senses, having a beautiful meal, touching yourself, enjoying touch, touching others, like using the body. All of the senses are way inside, and it's the ones that are rewarding. Like,
yeah.
I think for me it was music. Um, I think for other people, it can be many other entrances towards
Mm,
sensing again something inside the body that is pleasant.
yeah.
And then from that point on, you are back in the body, and then you have to also deal with the tap that's been open for a month. And, like, it's not going to be comfortable. I think I said before, I said this quote that resilience, or true resilience, is being comfortable with frustration.
Yeah.
Um, so that basically, like, frustration only happens when you're learning new things. So learning new things is something that is part of human existence. But the more you learn, or the more you're no, the more you are acceptant of frustration, the more you will ever learn new strategies of survival.
Yeah.
Like, and I think frustration was something that I really needed to befriend. Like, the fact that you can't move your arm is insanely frustrating. Like, so building up resilience towards this first, like, towards this, like, incapability of moving, was basically, I mean, it's like Buddhist meditation. Like, you had to constantly sit and accept the reality as it is.
Mm, yeah.
And that is also frustration. um, and then there is also reward, of course, but this reward is not something that is easily get, and you also don't realize when you're rewarded most of the time. It's only in retrospect that you realize that,
Mm,
oh wow, now I'm here talking to you, but, like, you could have never told me when I was in the hospital bed that I would be here having
yeah.
a talk about how amazing my recovery was. The It's something that you can't be busy with. You can only live in the now, and meet the problems are as they are.
Yeah. The thing here is that I feel that it's still, all of this becomes possible when we let the attention draw in for a second. Because I think that as society, we're usually taught to search for answers constantly on the outside. But if you put 100 people in a room together, every single person would move differently.
Yeah.
So each body has very different answers. And if someone's telling you, like, you should do, you know, do it just like this, and this is it, and there's something very limiting there, but you would never be able to arrive to your full potential if you do that, because you're not working with what you've got. Like, that's the only
Yeah.
thing you could do. But aside from that, like, life happens and they're very fast, and if we do not take that time for ourselves to come back to the body, to listen, to play, to build that kind of space for ourselves in our lives, then none of these things can happen, because they all happen when you go in like that. everything, well, all healing, I think, starts with tuning in to why are you smiling?
I don't know. It's funny. I like smiling at you. I don't know. I think other people will know. It's a thing. You smile all the time, so it's like mirror
Me?
neurons. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Do I? Do I know?
No, you do it in a genuine way. It's fine.
Yeah, it's funny because there's something in smiling and the teeth when you try. Anyway, that's a joke. But yeah, even just like I was telling Yorit before we started that because I had the privilege of talking to Yorit also a little bit before we started, um, and and it's amazing to hear every time you speak about your journey. I there's so many insights and such depth for me for to the process that you've went through, and I know that inside the tribe you're like a yeah you're a bit of an all star. Yorit is one of the ambassadors of the tribe. So he's inside the tribe and he's there also to support people. And I think that it's really I know that a lot of tribers had shared with me how inspired they are by your story and yeah, your insights and how you navigated through all of this essentially. Yeah. Well, you're not supposed to answer anything to this.
No, I'm
You
just
wouldn't know
trying.
what to. Yeah, I'm sorry.
It's
But
okay.
uh, but we spoke on a lot of different things. But I think that before we started the conversation, but one of the things that I think would be really interesting to talk to you about is that feeling of fear from moving somehow, and fear from dancing, and from yeah. I think that oftentimes it's a little it's again it's that feeling of being just one step away from your body but not living inside it. And there is something really interesting that I've noticed that I would love for your take on, that I think that oftentimes people meet their body through trying to fix it all the time, like it's a problem that needs fixing. But most of the healing stories that I see are really and we see this quite a lot, you know. We see this now. We had in the just now in the free training, we've had people that I shared with you before, Yorit, like people that were suffering from back pain for sometimes 20 years on end, and after the first session, for the first time in years, feeling like oh, the pain is not there any longer. And even one of them was sharing that she literally tried to do and move in different directions that usually hurt, but the pain was like looking for the pain was not there. I think it's and they all said that it feels like a miracle. And this is what I really want to touch base on, because this thing is it's not a miracle, because a miracle is something that happens to one person,
Mhm.
and a strategy is something that happens to many. And I think that this is a little bit the difference, because your brain is designed to learn and to find new ways of moving. So oftentimes, for example, if there is pain in the back, the real reason that there is pain in the back is because you're still smiling. I see you. I did not smile now.
I was just thinking like, and she's off. Like
Am I off? Off
no, no,
where?
no, 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 no. Like off, as in like you can go for hours when you're so passionate about it. So beautiful to see. I just keep smiling. It's like,
Okay, that kind of took me out of my point. What was I talking
oh
about?
no, you were going. No, you were just saying about the fact that that you develop a strategy towards
Yeah,
recovery.
yeah. Because so thank you. Because essentially we could, I think the reason that people get stuck inside, please stop smiling, focus on what I'm saying, and probably not also the people listening and tuning in, but the reason that people cannot uh, they feel like they get stuck inside the problem is simply because they're not using the tools that can get them into healing. Because you cannot fix things on a surface level, from strengthening a muscle or pulling against that place or just pushing harder. That's never going to work long term. The most sustainable way to change what we do is to change our movement patterns from the core. And when you do that, then that back pain that was there, you change the way that your weight, your load distributes through the body. It does not press any longer into that vertebra, so it doesn't hurt. So it's not that we made the problem disappear. Like recently, for example, in this podcast episode I had with Anthony, who healed from a very severe disc injury, lower back injury, he said like the scans still show that I have ruptured, like I have my disc, a bulged disc. This has not changed. But what has changed is that I do not have pain anymore at all, no matter what I do now. So how does it work like that? When you start to use your body differently, the reason that you have pain is not because your body's born to be suffering. It's because you've been using your body in a way that doesn't allow it to move freely and healthily. So this is essentially the work that we do, and this is why I see that it's not miracles, but it's simply
Tapping into
it's sim-
potential.
exactly. Thank you. Yeah.
It's tapping into the potential of your body. Because you said, like, for me, what came to mind is like most of us go through lives without ever getting to know our body
Yeah. Yeah.
and the potential that is inside of it. And it is not something spiritual. It is not something rocket science. It's just neuroplasticity. Being able to tap into different parts of your mind. So like consciously move towards different, I would say, layers of consciousness inside the body.
Yeah.
There are many ways, and there are also many methods. And for thousands of years, there is yoga. There's so many people that have been researching the body and the internal for so long, and still we haven't learned to create a culture and a society that raises people to attach to their body, but we are raised to detach from it, which is so sad,
Yes.
like. So the first thing that you have to do is grieve all of the years that you didn't really have the potential available to you, like. And so if you need to meet the fear and the uncomfortable, which is your body right now, and you want to start dancing and moving, I suggest to be real about this and be like, okay, yeah, you are scary. You're scary as fuck. You're an animal to me, like a wild animal. I don't understand you at all. Um, and then you can say, like, be the horse whisperer. Like, this analogy of the horse whisperer, that the guy just like sits every day next to the wild horse, and it's like testing him, and he just sits still and waits until the horse is acclimatized, and then like moves every day a little bit closer.
Yeah.
I think the act of being like that, being tolerant towards overwhelm, towards things that are uncomfortable, like tolerance, I think is one of the biggest words here. Is like we are so overwhelmed by all of that information because we don't know how to store it. The prefrontal cortex has not activated yet into a way of like, so this is all of this internal stimuli, and this goes here and this goes there. Like, if you haven't tapped into it, it's muted. It's unavailable to you. The fact that I think people are capable of either blocking the pain to the minimum consciously, or creating so much freedom that pain that arises by tensing around the problematic area is able to like consciously released. All of these things, I think, are a testimony of how resilient we are as a species. Like that we are capable of adapting towards environments and adversity in a very quick way, and it's I think it's at the base of our human potential. And we have to, in a world where we are distracted by screens and actually distraction is a commodity. People just make a lot of money of distracting us. We are losing sense, or the felt sense, like how does reality feel? How do we interact with our environment? All of these things are muted. I am afraid for next generations that they would not even know how to gesticulate emotions, like
Yeah.
I'm doing now, expressing with the hands, and like all of these things they're an important part of our communication system. But we have been sitting here behind the screens, trying to express embodiment. It's absurd to me. I don't know. I would love to find a way to tell people like, tune in, like even if it's scary.
Yeah.
And you
Yeah.
do.
And I what? Sorry?
And you do this daily.
Yeah, that's what my life is about, my life's work somehow. But what I want to say here, I think that is really important, is that it also doesn't have to be this overwhelming and oh my god, what am I going to meet kind of a thing. Because like the way that we do it, for example, inside the tribe, is to walk. Like people, once they join, many of them, when they join, they do not know the method. They're brand new. They don't have experience. They might have not moved or danced for a long time. Some of them did. Some of them are never danced before, and some of them are dancers that have been dancing all of their lives. And that's what's so beautiful there, is that there's such a meeting of people that come from different grounds, and the shared interest is one, essentially. But when we go through that process, everything is really structured, and there is, if you break it down, there is a very simple action plan that comes, that is really not overwhelming, but that feels safe and that feels like the next logical move. And that's all it takes, just to focus on the next one and the next one. And before you know it, you're like, oh my goodness, what is that? I made a road, I made a trip here
Mhm.
already. But that's the only way to go. And I think that sometimes when we feel disconnected, or when we live inside the fear of movement, we feel that big up, and it seems to us like, oh my goodness, there is no way to come back from this. There is no way to bridge this now. But I think that's what I'm trying to do in the tribe, is like, literally, here is the bridge. I built it for you. Now just kind of, you're here. You want to go there. Now there's this path that we need to break down together. And
Mhm.
we're going to break it down for you in a way that helps you to move to the only next place that you can grow from somehow,
Mhm.
that doesn't feel overwhelming and it doesn't feel hard. And so I think it's really, really important to mention this, because I feel that sometimes it just gets scary, and we feel like, oh, okay, it might work for Yorrith, and it might work for Meytal, and for the other people that we heard of or this person or that person, but it will not work for me. Why? Because I'm not fixable, really,
Mhm.
you know. But the thing is that there is no such a thing. Your body has not found yet the way to move in a way that feels more comfortable for you,
Mhm.
and more in alignment. That doesn't mean that your body's incapable. It just means that it doesn't know now how to do that. So, which is why, like, if you learn this, then yeah, everything changes somehow. So I think it's really important to break it down. And actually, I would love to hear your experience about this, because you've been with me in this journey for, yeah, like you've been there since, with your experience, like like before the tribe really grew to become what it did, and then stepping in as an ambassador, as a part of the group of the ambassadors that we have, that we meet periodically and
Mhm.
think together how we can make the tribe even more awesome, and like what, like continuing to let it um manifest in this way. So for me, like insane privilege to have you there, first of all. But I would love to hear a little bit from because I feel that throughout the week people have been hearing mainly from me about it, and I feel it's so different when it's not, when it's also someone else that is there, and not just
I'm
my.
getting flustered. I don't know what to do. Okay. What was the question again?
Yorit is before a performance. Actually, you guys, he
Yeah.
literally tuned in to the night before he goes on stage.
Yes.
So that
I
is
have to go on
also,
stage in an hour and a half.
yes. So you see that, like, this is kinship. Like, this is, yeah, tight typing going on there.
Mhm.
No, but I was asking for your experience of the tribe and the way that it evolved from the moment that you met it first with the recordings. What's been your experience of it and on the of the inside of it?
Yeah, there's so many paths I can take at this point. I wanted to say something else first. I think when you said something like "I'm unfixable,"
Mm,
I was like, "Oh yeah, true. This is something that I think the radical acceptance of what is here. When you meet yourself at that point, there are so many stories we have around our body or around illness that are limiting. I'm not saying that they're not true. I can't take away your truth or gaslight you into believing that you're not still sick or ill. I mean, this is not my responsibility. But what I can do is question the narrative. You know, like why would you say that you're unfixable? Because I've been through so many doctors and none of them can help me, for instance. I also went through a huge phase of being gaslit by doctors being like, it's not true what you're saying. I was like, no, but I know my body. I know that there is an underlying condition that has created blood clots in my brain because I felt this before. And then a whole system of the medical system kept saying like, yeah, but we can't find it in your brain. I was like, yeah, but if you can't find it, it doesn't really mean that it didn't happen. It could be on the same spot where it already is dead, and you can't find extra scar tissue because that zone was slowly dying off. And then we're like, oh yeah, true. And then so there is a lot of things that I had to internally tap into to my own
mm,
truth, and then also had to resist believing from others opinions about how I am or how my disease is felt. That I constantly had to sit with, but what is actually here? What is here is like what is here is okay, like 4 months before you had your stroke, you already lost the ability of moving your left hip. Like it's 4 months prior. Like, and then the year above, you fell on your face in the middle of an improvisation, which never happens to a dancer. Falling on your face is something that is incapable to us. Our instincts are
mm,
too trained for it. So I remember also like that a big problem at that point. So I could trace back all of the moments that I had things happening to my body that were inexplicable. And then
mm,
when I came to the process of healing, I realized like, okay, the only thing I can do now is adjust how I talk to myself. Like I can't internalize the voice of others. I have to just really stay true to what is actually here. I did lose the ability of my hip. I did fall on my face. And I'm scared that something is going to go wrong, like again. So, and
mm,
this was the truth. And then underneath it, there is also the truth of like, and look, my body is doing so much at this point already to recover, like sitting as in like, already after 2 weeks I can do this. After 4 days of Meytal class, I can do my first step. Like all of these things are also true. Like and so the narrative of unfixable, I think it's not really usable. I think you have to be pragmatic about this. Like, can I use this narrative, or do I need to adjust it to something that is more attuned to what is really here? Like, and I think in your way of talking and the things that you are offering, you go into a place where all of that judgment and all of that internal language is obsolete. You don't really need it. You
mm,
only need to just listen. And so this internal mind that is constantly judging or creating narratives around stuff that is uncomfortable or fearful or painful, you don't need it. You can just basically sit back, lie down, and tune into the body, like, and that is a relief. That is a relief of all of the things that you think you have to be or have to do. I think learning to not do and not be is a very radical act in this economy and in this world. Not doing is I think closest that I would, I'm not really a spiritual person, but this is the closest that I would go into spirituality, is not doing and not being is a very comfortable and beautiful thing for a human being. To always wanting to grasp towards something, or to find meaning in the outside, is is a natural, and you can't tune into a reality or the realness of this very moment if you are distracted, if you believe in things such as I am broken and unfixable. The first thing that would come to mind is like, how is that true, like, and maybe you're not completely fixable and also not completely healed, but there are always nuances. And I think when people lose nuance, and this is what I knew as an internal guide, like when I lost nuance, I knew like, okay, um, you're in a place where you are distancing from yourself. You're in a place where you are not tuning into reality at this point, because you're not allowing complexity. You're not allowing nuance. Like sitting still and being, how do you call this, receptive,
Yeah.
and and shy away a bit from judgment, and just
Mm.
go to like, okay, hello, here we are, this is the whole this is the shit show. And then you have the path of least resistance. It's the thing, like it's my credo, like I go there and it's like, okay, why am I resisting this, and is there ways around it? And if this belief of being unfixable is your resistance, you have to find ways around it. And I think the ways around it is by slowly easing into relaxation and not doing and undoing stuff that has been painful to you and unproductive.
Yeah.
I
And
don't know.
even then,
Am I doing all right? Am I answering questions?
well, I asked something different, but I think you said what was needed really to be said about this, about them not being fixable. Uh,
Yeah, it just resonated. I was like, oh, this is so terrible if people believe this.
yeah, and I think we many of us do. I think, but it's just because we have partial images of the reality. I know that that's not true. Like I wouldn't be able to get pregnant with my daughter if that was the case. Like
Mhm,
there's so many stuff that yeah. It's funny today. It's I don't know why it really came to me. Today I got the first draft from a film director who's doing use. I shared with you a little bit, but a film director who's doing a documentary about my recent choreographic work, Dark
mhm,
Horse, and we had an interview there a long time ago, and I shared there in the interview, and it came up to me, and it that I was raised in a kibbutz where you're raised separately from your parents, and
mhm,
you live essentially with the other kids and not with your parents. And due to some things that happened there, like yeah, I started to run to my parents' house when I was 6 years old at night, barefoot, like just trying to go back to a place that and and finally, like in a system that doesn't really accept any of that, finally they let me go and sleep at my parents' house, at least for a good couple of months. And the ability to beat the system for a second, I think that what that taught me at that age was that and I don't know, there's I realized throughout the years um that strength is not because you're born with it, because I am not,
mhm,
at all. I'm scared of a lot of things, many, many of them. But somehow I have fallen multiple times, and no matter what, like sometimes I would get hit really hard when falling. And it could be anything between like putting yourself out there vulnerably and falling like flat on your
mhm,
face, with a person that you shared something or with, but first, I prefer to live my life like that, even if it means falling on my face a couple of times.
mhm,
But secondly, I would get back up and I would find a different way. And I heard it today because I was saying it in the interview, and I realized that it's not. I wasn't born like. doing that, I just learned, because you fall and you get up, and you fall and you get up, and we all fall at some moments in our life, in one way or another. Maybe it happens at 6, maybe it happens at 20, maybe it happens at, it doesn't matter when. But I think that there's certain, like, bravery is overrated, in the sense that there is no such thing. Everyone are shit scared all the time from
Hmm.
a million different things. But yeah, for me, being brave doesn't mean that I'm not scared, because I'm scared of a lot of things. But for me, being brave means that I'm doing things even if they scare me, if I feel like I'm gonna grow
I
while
think
doing
why
them.
we I think why we fall on our face more often than others. I'm not saying that it's more often, but like I can speak for myself. I fall on my face literally twice a week. Um, is I think because and I think this is also a response to this bravery. It's you don't. I'm brave by default because I am curious. I'm too curious. I am
Mm.
always so curious that I end up in situations that I'm totally not prepared for. Um, and I think this is what
I can
saves me.
totally imagine you there.
Yes, if you know me by now. So I think curiosity in any way, or in a condition of or the human condition, I think it's one of the most useful things you can have,
Yeah,
because when you're curious, you're in play. Like you're playing with stuff because you want to understand things, and you are attracted to knowing or to interacting with stuff. And so
yeah,
curiosity, I would say, is the opposite of this type of fear and
yeah, yeah,
scariness, like, because it's an if there would be a dragon in front of me, I could either respond with the narrative that has been given to me, or I could see it for what it is and go like, wow, look at the scales, like, and go into, I mean, I would have been eaten probably in nature by now, because I would be like, oh wow, and then I would be dead. But I think in this context, curiosity towards self and the inside is a very generous thing you can give yourself, to be
yeah,
actually interested in yourself. We are trained to be embarrassed about self-interest, but I think it's not about self-interest. It's about the curiosity of being a human.
yeah. If you,
It's not about ego. It's not about like feed me and all of these things. No, self-interest is like you can only understand the true phenomena of being aware inside matter, on a globe, inside space, when you are truly curious to
yeah.
understand it.
I- yes. Sorry, I had a
It's
completing
okay. We
thought.
do this
Had
all
a
the time.
completing thought there, but but I think that, like backwards, but but I think that even this curiosity is something that, again, where it's not that, it's not, I always tell this to my students, because this is one of the things that we do in Falamai, to play and to listen. And curiosity is not something that we're either born with or without. There are very specific tools that
Mhm,
wake up your curiosity, because when you were a baby, you didn't need to learn to be curious. This was
mhm,
just the way that you learn, that you was born to move through the world and to meet the world around you in the safest way possible, right? Because when you try and
mhm.
experiment different things, you know what's safe for you, unless it's a dragon, and then you get eaten.
Yeah.
But aside from that, usually it's very practical, and there's a good reason that the human species has survived and has been born with a sense of curiosity, and we lose it along the way because it feels insignificant. But actually, all of the physical breakthroughs that I've seen in this work, they all are derived from this,
Mhm,
from learning to be curious, and to meet your body like a kid again, which is just, it's not only more useful and more practical, and you can get further with your body, it's just so much nicer.
mhm,
And it makes everything, it turns movement from, oh, I have to do this thing, into, whoa, I get to do this thing, I get to spend this time with myself, I get to be inside this body and feel again like I have space for myself,
mhm,
and like the movement just flows. That's so different. And you guys just, I'm trying to be sensitive to the time. And I think that if you have the people that are
Thanks for
watching,
that.
Yorit and I are riffing easily, but don't be shy to write if you have a question to Yorit. Yeah, to me, I've been here around the whole week, so it's like it's less interesting. But I see that Jenny wrote something.
Mhm.
I hear sharing about feeling abandoned by the body. Have either of you ever felt like the body was angry at you for abandoning it to a difficult experience? Would you like to start
I
reply? Sure.
I have been angry a lot, many
Mm,
times, and even still today. I think
mhm,
anger is an emotion that rises up because you feel a lack of boundaries or a lack of control. Like all of these things are natural feelings, and I've learned to accept them. So if I'm angry, I try to, like, I mean, I'm not a saint, so like either you go into a coping mechanism and you just go like, I don't know, call your friends and go like, okay, let's go out, I don't want to think about myself anymore, I'm mad at myself, like. Or there's days that I deprive myself from food because I am mad at my body, like. But there is
mm,
also many days where I am capable of tuning into it and saying like, well, you're allowed to be angry, but you shouldn't be angry at your body. Chaos, the world
mm,
is chaos. The most logical thing to do at that point is directing your anger towards things that you can actually control,
mm.
and not things that are out of your control.
That's so hard, though. That is
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
that is really challenging sometimes.
But we live in a
But it's
society
true.
where we need this anger. You need anger to say like, hey, it's not okay to erase a complete people from the earth. It's not
Yes.
okay to keep using our attention as a commodity or money. Like it's not okay to, like there's so many things to be angry about. Why would you be angry at yourself?
Good
Like
one.
that is a that's an imploding star that nobody has anything. And actually it sucks in also many other things, like self-hatred is one of the most I don't know, useful things for people to use, especially tyrannic, I mean, getting political, but anyway, anger, when I feel it, when I'm angry at the body, I realize like I'm just angry at the fact that I can't control things. So the only response at that point is like, what can I control? Like, how can I restore this trust that I would be able to I think, because we can get philosophical about this, at least create an illusion of control. Like where you have a feeling like all of this I am comfortable with, and I have a body that is safe enough to be curious again. Because anger, I
Mm,
think, also would snap me out of the capability of playfulness, or like, because it's anger is rejection. Like
mm, yeah.
so I think the true help or helpful would be to keep it simple, like you said in the things, like there is this uh, steps towards repair, towards the self, that are quite clear and quite structured, and the structure is something that the brain really likes. It's like, if I do these steps, because that's why the question also arises, is like, is there a hack, is there something that can help me to restore, and that it's quick and fixable? But I think the most important part is that you would become interested in fixing it yourself without our help, or without um, um, how would you say it, like divine intervention. Like, how can I actually, like, I'm doing this, control the things that I can control, and when I'm angry about stuff that I can't control, direct this anger towards stuff that I'm capable of controlling. And anger is so many times misdirected towards the self that I feel obliged to talk about this and say, like, maybe it's just angry because you feel powerless, and we are powerless most of us feel powerless daily, but what are the things that make you feel powerful is a way more interesting dialogue, like
Yeah.
so anger, usually when it arises, the first response is like, okay, I'm probably powerless. Shit. What can I do? What are the things that I know give me power?
Yeah.
And grasp it and say like, okay, let's do that. And if it's with me, it's doing naps. I love naps. I think that's my control. Like, like when I'm angry, I'm usually also very overwhelmed and overstimulated, and I just go like, damn, you're tired, you need to just take a nap, it's gonna be better, like. And sometimes it's as simple as that, sometimes it's more complex how you restore control. But with me, this is how I navigate anger.
Yes. Jenny says, thank you. Thank you, Jenny, for asking. I think for a lot of people, this question is really relevant. I feel really blessed that you're with me in the tribe in this way. We've been talking with the ambassadors to bring back, also like to create more spaces where the tribers can really benefit from your wisdom. And I'm so happy that you're, yeah, but I think that we miss these kind of voices in the world where we can really lean into a deeper truth of what we're about and what's possible for us. And yeah, it I I feel privileged that you're there, part of this project somehow.
I mean, yeah, it's likewise, of course.
Mm.
It's insane the amount of people you already helped in such a short amount of time. And also people that help themselves.
Yeah, that's the whole point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like the fact that it's that the first thing that happens is restoring autonomy, and not
Mm.
codependency. Because
Yeah.
and that's something that I am very allergic to. If I meet it in groups, or if I see um, tribes forming, that there's always codependency going on. And it's nice that it just is like, here's the tools, you do you, like. And if you need help, I'm here. I don't know, like I would say like an available mother, like, hey, I'm here if you want me, but go play, do your stuff. If you're scared, come back, we will talk about it, like.
Mm.
And I think this is also the relationship you install with yourself, is a caring mother, like saying like, oh, we've tried this, you fell on your face, maybe you need some self-soothing, and then okay, off again, like. So what I wanted to ask also, if is there more questions, because I only have like a few more minutes left, and then my curtain calls, and I have to still make up and uh, be. I'm transforming into a very weird character, so I need time.
Yeah. We will let you go any minute. Yeah, we can finish kind of now. It feels like the time that you should go to your evening and to your performance.
Okay.
I wasn't sure if your image froze for a second.
No,
So
no,
you
I was
guys,
listening.
for all of you that are listening out there, like this is just concluding words, because it's my last touch point with you for today. And in a couple of hours, the doors of the tribe are closing. And for me, the tribe is built out of love, and it's a space where people can really grow and go onto a meaningful journey, but one that could feel really simple and not overwhelming. And I'm doing this because I want to help as many people as I can, because I feel that there is something there in this work that I've helped many, and will continue to do that. So it's important for me to put this out there. If you are in a place of fear and you're uncertain what to do, just know also that we remove any kind of risk for you, and you can also join. And if in the first month that you're there, it's just not right for you, There is no hustle. You just tell us, we cancel it, we give you back everything that you paid. There's no questions. We don't make it complicated. It's very simple. And the reason that we do this is because when people are given the option to move from fear into possibility with our body, oftentimes it's really difficult to move away from choosing from fear. And the reason that I do this is because I want people to feel that there is no risk. There is nothing that you lose, because you can literally gain everything that you, yeah. Anyway, it's not a big financial investment, but even that, like, we make sure to pay it back, because it's important that then the question always comes back to what the real risk is never knowing, and like never trying and never knowing what is really possible for you. So we have, yeah, a few hours left, and I'm here for whoever wants to join and step into this world of potential and this way of making your body into a home again. uh, it's my thing in life, and I love doing that and following people in this process. And no matter how you continue, I just want you to take this idea that you were born to move with freedom. You do not have to take it as a given reality, pain, tension, limitation. And so just bear that in mind. Yorrith, a warm, warm, warm thank you. Jenny says also, this has been such an inspiring conversation. More keys into locks. Thank you both. Thank you, Jenny.
Thank you.
Um, Yorrith, thank you so much for your time. And thank you, everyone that tuned in today.
Mm.
I'm smiling again. Okay. We're
Okay.
going to end the live stream. Ciao, everyone.